Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Quebec City. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Kenji Egashira, and we're ready for round 13. We've got Alexander Hain, the hometown hero. He's not quite from Quebec City, but he's from the area.
Close enough.
Yeah, and his opponent this round is Brian Braunduin from the United States, and they're both sitting on 10-2 here, Kenji, meaning that this is... The loser of this match will find themselves in a very precarious position for top 8 if they win out after.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, the winner is on track. You know, an X2 record by the end of the tournament should be good enough here. There were about 800 players or so in attendance, which is a few less than normal at a GP these days. You know, the average GP attendance has creeped up above 1,000 probably. I've never seen the number, but... And that means that it does open the door a little bit. You know, the bigger the attendance number for a tournament, the higher record you need to make top 8, because the top 8's set as 8 players.
Mm-hmm.
That does not change, where when the rest of the tournament number changes, it means you need a better and better record. We saw this summer, you know, at Grand Prix Vegas, you needed to be X1. Maybe X1 and 1 could get in as well. Here, it might actually slip down to a 10-3, or excuse me, an X3 might be able to make it in. Be a 12-3 at that point. Anyway, let's get up to speed on this game, Kenji. What do we have here? We've got White-Green Megamorph versus a Tarka Red from Alex Hain, and Alex looks, he's got a beautiful little curve out here.
Yeah, turn 1 Zergo, turn 2 Swift Spear Bash in for 3. Follow that up with a Lightning Berserker on the very same turn, but Brian Braunduin was able to stabilize quite nicely. Like, the Hangerback Walker is just a huge problem for the Atarka Red deck, and then he followed up with a 4-3 with Reach. That card is also very, very large.
Yeah.
Brian's running the full package of 4 main deck Dromoka's commands, which can, hold off any burn spells that Alex might have.
Maybe experiencing a few technical issues. We're just going to keep on commentating as if that weren't the case. Onward we go. So there's 3 goblins off of a Hordling Outburst now for Alexander Hain. But no attacks, which is kind of the key there, is that Brian has stabilized the board and kept people from rumbling.
Brian's got to play a little bit defensive here. His list isn't running any the full package of Wingmate rocks like some of the other ones are. He has 2 of them, which would certainly be nice, but looks like he's just content developing out his board here. Alex certainly is going wide. Now remember, he has Teamer Battle Rage and like Become Immense in his deck, so we've talked about this quote-unquote combo before. Definitely something that can help push through some damage, even through like a Dromoka's command, unless BBD is able to fight his way through that. Literally fight.
And there's an Abbot of Carol Keep now for Alex. And he's going to find a Fiery Impulse, which he can cast here. Now, he's only got the 1 sorcery in his yard, so it's only going to do 2 damage, but, I mean, kill Anissa.
Seems pretty good.
Hard to argue with that.
And that's the only good target for Alex at this point. He doesn't want to aim it at the Hangerback, which could just level up in response, and Avatar, of course, is a 4-3 currently. Apologize for the slight technical difficulties, guys, if you're just catching up. There's a wide array of creatures on Alexander Hain's side, but he hasn't actually punched through that much damage except for that 1 turn where he hit in for 3 with the Zergo and the Monastery Swift Spear.
Yeah, BBD's still at 17 life as Alex was not able to attack last turn, and it looks like he's not going to attack this turn either, so he's going to set up for some big rumbles next turn. But that does give BBD even more of a window here to get the shields up.
Looks like BBD has a lot of lands in his hand. I see another Hangerback Walker, though, and a Silk Wrap as the last 2 spells there.
That seems like a nice little turn there. He can play a Hangerback, Silk Wrap something, and even have a mana left over for his other Hangerback, although it looks like he's decided not to do that.
I think he wants to feign a trick here so that Alex, might not go for the big sweeping plays. Brian knows that with just the creatures that he has, or the cards that he has in his hand, he can easily be overwhelmed.
I don't think it's going to work if that's the case. I mean, Alex is he is going to just start slamming. Look at this. Boom. Huge attack from Alexander Hayne. Everybody into the red zone.
Yeah, Alex going for the full Swift Rage against BBD. That is a lot of creatures, Marshall.
Yeah, he's getting in there with 8 separate creatures, and Brian now has to figure out how he wants to manage blocks. Only 1 red mana up for Alex Hayne here. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
Cancel that order. Cinderglade up as well. So the big thing that Brian has to deal with here is an Atarka's Command, right? Yikes, that's scary.
I mean, even a Titan Strength is punching through, at least a few extra damage. He does have double Swift Spear and an Abbot, so 3 prowess creatures.
I do not envy Brian Bronduin's seat here at all. Trying to figure out how to block through this, what it is that Alex can have, how much damage he's likely to take. This is brutal.
Yeah. Again, minimum 5 creatures going unblocked here.
Right. It's going to be a huge amount of damage. An Atarka's Command, just in that scenario, is responsible for a lot of damage.
Yeah. What, minimum 8 if he goes 3 to the dome and then +1/+1
Yeah,
on each of the...
bare minimum, and then also probably is going to do a good job of running over whatever gets blocked as well. So this is going to be a huge turn here. Brian did leave up the mana, though. He can activate his bigger Hangerback Walker. The other one's fresh on the board here, so he's not going to be able to pump that one up. But, he could easily set himself up to get 4 or 5 flyers here after the dust settles and still be, in a position where at least he's not dead the next turn.
Marshall, would you call it fresh Walker of Hang Air?
I wouldn't.
I tried. It was...
You come up with this stuff. You just got to let it come to you, Kenji.
I did.
You
It
don't
did.
wanna force it.
Right.
Just hang back.
All right.
You'll be all right.
Hang back, huh? You got me.
So super interesting here. Alex does nothing. And what that actually does is it means that the Hangerback Walker from Brian doesn't die, which I think is better for Alex.
I think so. He still was able to push through a bit of damage. The Abbot and the Lightning Berserker dying there. But I think Alex realizes that he just has to push the advantage now while, he can. Otherwise, that board is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger on Brian's side. Leverage what he has right now.
That was a sweet play, actually, from Alex. I don't know what's in his hand, but I love not doing anything there. He gets in for a good amount of damage, still has a totally reasonable board with double Swift Spear available. And yeah, he loses his Abbot of Carol Keep, but it means that Brian is actually punished for having a bigger Hangerback Walker, which I think is super interesting.
So Silk Wrap in Brian's hand from the last turn. Did you see what he drew for this turn? I wasn't
No.
able to see it.
Also interesting that BBD actually didn't put another counter on his Hangerback Walker there as well. Remember, the one with 3 could have gone to 4 that turn. He had 3 untapped mana. I don't know if he just forgot or if there's a strategic reason why he doesn't want to put it up to 4. I would assume that he forgot.
Yeah, I think so too. Unless he really wanted it to trade with something potentially, like maybe with the Zergo, the Titan Strength. But it would have been traded still.
Which is interesting, though, because, that is something that we saw here, which is that I think he would have much preferred to have his Hangerback Walker trade for the Abbot, but also produce 3 or 4 counters out of the deal.
Okay, it looks like he drew Gideon for the turn, which is definitely a nice one.
And he's just going to make a Knight token here and try to keep the shields up. BBD under a lot of heat here as Alex has played for a little bit of a longer game where he's built up his board. We're in turn 6 here. And then now he's crunching in with, a large number of creatures trying to get the victory here.
I think this game is definitely swung in Brian's favor. He still has a Silk Wrap in hand. The Gideon is going to apply a lot of pressure to Alex. All of his creatures are, 2/2 or less currently. I realize that Monastery Swift Spears have that prowess trigger, but Alex didn't use anything last turn when it was probably a good spot to do so. Alex still has a full grip in his hand.
Yeah, he's got 4 or 5 cards now. The other thing that BBD has to worry about through all of this is the combo kill from Alex, right? Not just a Tarkus command with a whole bunch of creatures, but I'm sure that, Alex has some amount. Let's see what he's got. I've got the list in front of me here. He's got 3 Become Immense and 3 Teamer Battle Rage. So some of these have run 4 and 4. This one runs 3 and 3, but that can also just kill you out of nowhere.
Yes, and wow. Full-out attack here from Alex once again, even though his attacks look less reasonable than last turn.
Indeed.
Brian just wondering what Alex has in his hand. The classic, not like this if he has the Teamer Battle Rage plus Become Immense. With 5 cards already in the graveyard, it's going to be a 1-cast Become Immense if he so has it.
Now, if you're in Alex's seat, Kenji, and it's game 1 here, is there anything that can break that up?
Again, Dramoka's command, Brian has a full 4 of them, I believe.
Okay.
In his main
and
deck.
does that break it up here is the question.
It depends on how...
Like, it certainly could.
Yes, it depends on how priority is passed. Again, Brian has a 4-3 and a 3-3, which are definitely larger than all of Alex's creatures for sure. So another thing he has to worry about is Valorous Stance, which I believe, Brian has a 1 of in his deck. So Valorous Stance is actually going to get around that combo quite nicely.
Yeah, there's another card that I believe is in BBD's hand, which is Stasis Snare. He fortunately doesn't have the mana to cast it right now, so Alex does not have to worry about that at the moment. All right, so Alex is finally going to fire something off. It's going to be Titan Strength on the token, and that's going to get it through the Avatar of the Resolute, potentially. Card immediately goes to the bottom off of the Scry.
Now, both of the Swift Spears are unblocked currently, so those are going to deal 4 damage as it stands.
And I think Alex has priority here.
Looks like it.
Says this is acceptable.
Well, it looks like they were all attacking Gideon.
Ah, interesting.
So that was probably a good sign for Brian that Alex didn't have the Teamer Battle Rage to go along with his Titan Strength that become immense.
He gave up a Zergo into the Hangerback Walker, but that makes sense. He's got a backup Zergo anyway. And once again, we have a board that's pretty interesting. Hangerback still doesn't get bigger here.
Yeah. So he must be...
What is his thinking there?
I guess he just wants to be able to trade with it eventually. I'm not quite sure.
Maybe he didn't want to put the shields down. He only had 2 mana there. If he levels it up and Alex has another Fiery Impulse, he would lose it. I just don't know if that's a disaster for him.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I'm not quite understanding the line there, but
because that's 2 counters now. That Hangerback could be a 5/5 at this point, which is pretty nice to have, right? You just throw it in front of one of his creatures and just know it's going to win that fight.
Exactly. And even if it dies, you're going to get a ton of 1/1s.
Here's an Abbot of Carol Keep, which is going to reveal a Wooded Foothills, which Alex is going to immediately play.
On the bright side for Brian, Alex having to use that Titan Strength to take out the avatars, pretty good sign, if it's not aiming upstairs or on a creature that's getting through to your face. Looks like a Den Protector.
Correct.
Face down. And he is holding up the Stasis Snare. Flood is joined, and I think a Canopy Vista as well as a Plains up top there.
Alex's upkeep going to crack his Wooded Foothills here.
Sure. Reduces chance of drawing a land just a little bit more. And Stasis Snare is huge. It's something that Brian can do that Alex can't, quote unquote, prevent by making his creature bigger in response.
Yeah, just can't interact with it at all, right? I wouldn't feel too bad in Brian's position.
The board's pretty stable for him. The Den Protector can bring back Gideon, Nissa, Hangerback Walker, and again with that Stasis Snare. That's why it's also important for the Atarka red deck to kind of go wide, so that you can aim, Teamer Battle Rage on one creature, become immense on another creature. You can kind of split up your all-in spells.
So Alex is going to go for Fiery Impulse on the Den Protector that's a morph currently, which could prompt BBD to tap 2 of his mana here.
Sure.
But he's got that Flooded Strand and 2 white sources otherwise, so he could still keep Stasis Snare available.
Absolutely.
Though it may cost him a life to do so.
I'd be interested to see if Brian opted to flip the Den Protector if he had 1 less land available.
I think he wouldn't.
Yeah. Which would be pretty telling for Alex.
Indeed.
Yeah. Let's see what Brian wants to get back with the Den Protector trigger. Looks like he's targeting Nissa here.
Okay. Looks like he's ready for value. He does have 7 lands.
Into the red zone we go for Alex.
Team. Now, that thing's already a 3-2.
Yep. Both of the Swift Spears 2/3s currently.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess Atarka's command would be the best case scenario.
Oh, it's Teamer Battle Rage.
So I really like this play from Alex.
Yeah, this does give it double strike, and it'll have trample as well, as it's going to be all the way up to 4 power by the time the Battle Rage resolves.
Yeah, and Swift Spears are currently 3/4s. If BBD goes for Stasis Snare on the
Abbot
of Carol Keep, Alex could potentially have become immense in hand and win through one of the Swift Spears.
I think he does.
Does he?
Okay. Yeah, I actually think he does. I'm not 100%, but I thought I saw a green card, so this is beautiful. This has just been a really crazy tight game here.
Yeah, so currently 5 trample damage would be dealt from the Abbot through the Hangerback Walker, I believe.
It would be 8/5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and if he cracks the fetch, then he's dead.
Yes.
That's without a snare.
Exactly. Now remember, Hangerback Walker could be a 5/5 right now.
Yeah, I keep thinking of that. Just curious what was going on with that. Sometimes it is as simple as I just forgot. I was thinking about something else. But sometimes there's things that are harder to see, or cards that BBD may have in his mind that Alex could be playing that he'd prefer to keep Hangerback on the smaller side.
Beautifully played by Alex. I think a lot of the time people are too swift to use their spells aggressively when there's not really reason to.
Wow, he let it go.
Okay, first strike damage is going to resolve, of course, with 1 trample going to Brian.
And probably Alex is incentivized to just say sure, right?
I think so. I mean,
he kind of opens the door if he decides to play another spell here, right?
Yeah, he'll end up losing damage to the state. Like if he targets one of the Monastery Swift Spears with Become Immense, he'll gain 2 damage from the Abbot and one of the others, but...
Yeah, he's going for it. On the Zergo.
Is the Zergo unblocked? Oh, no, he's going to save. Okay, and so this forces through lethal damage because the Prowess triggers.
It does, and it also saves Zergo.
Wow.
And it means that Stasis Snare on Zergo is like whatever.
Yeah, well, he can't do that because he would
die.
Yeah.
Is what I mean? It's just like it makes that a non-factor. Wow. Alex Hayne.
So remember, the Abbot is still now hasn't done regular combat damage, but it's grown
do
1.
6 here, right?
5, right?
3, 4, 5, 6, right? It's got Teamer Battle Rage trigger. Oh, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. 5, and it does have trample, so and since the Hangerback Walkers already did that damage, it is going to carry over, and then the Swift Spears are triggering again.
Yeah, they're 4/5s now.
Goodness sakes. This is great. Alex Hayne has played this game beautifully. I mean, this is tricky stuff,
It
right?
is,
I mean, this is not, your straightforward, are you dead yet red deck. This is very carefully playing around what BBD could have here. He's forced now to Stasis Snare to save damage.
And he's still going to fall to 2 life here because he had to pop off the fetch, fall to 10.
Yeah.
Swift Spears are going to hit him for a total of 8.
And you go to 2. Now the question is, can he win from here? Is he stable? What happens? Remember, he did get that Nissa back, right? So we can make a 4-4 here.
Looks like a den
Was
protector,
that
I
den
think.
protector off the top? That would be nice.
That's not too shabby.
Could get back a Gideon or a hanger back or even another den protector if he feels like he has the time.
Oh, was it Avatar of the Resolute?
Oh, wasn't it den
Yeah,
protector?
no, Avatar.
It was Avatar.
Yeah.
All right. You lied to me, Kenji.
I mean, a second look there, it's
yeah.
there's a glance.
It's forgivable.
By the way, Alexander Hayne has Atarka's command on the top of his library. I'm going to call it, and he's going to go bam.
Is that true, or are you just guessing?
I'm guessing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had seen something that we didn't see.
But it's like 99%. I did the math.
And just redirect to Nissa.
Frank.
Your turn.
Whoa.
Holy. Well, that changes things. He has got enough mana to cast that, too.
Yep. So he can attack in for 1.
And then have a 3-4, a 3-4, a 1-1, and a 1-1 to hold back the 3 attackers, from Hayne.
This could get interesting.
I'm going to take the field. I'm going to say Alex does not have.
Okay.
I'm 1 for 1 today.
You're about to be 1 for 2. And 1 for 2, I think that's about 60%, Marshall. I did the math again.
Thank you for that.
Frank can back me up once again on that math.
Yeah, well, he won't.
Okay, Brian's going to get in with 2 Thopters?
Yeah, I think he figures that any hasty creature means that he's not dead anyway, right? Like a dash Zergo doesn't kill him here. Maybe it changes the clock a little bit. Gets in for 1 extra damage and passes.
Yeah, that's 2-turn clock in the air with the 3-4, the 3-4, and 2 1-1s.
Ooh. It was a Swift Spear, which again is not lethal here. Right?
No,
He's
it's
got
not.
3 blockers. 1 thing gets through for 1, putting BBD to 1 life. But if Alex makes this attack, and this is why BBD was able to attack with 2 Thopters instead of 1, it means that Alex loses 2 of these creatures and eats a Thopter. He's doing it. Alex is in.
So as long as Zergo gets blocked, the obvious blocks here, Alex shrugs and he has no cards in hand.
Yep. So down to 1 for BBD, but this also does keep the heat on Brian and make it a little more difficult for him to keep attacking. But as we know, he's got a lot of action going here. Now he's got that Nissa flipped up, and it looks like BBD has turned the corner. Now, that doesn't mean that Alex is dead. He still has burn spell outs that can just kill him on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to have a turn or 2 to do it. But I think BBD, can he get up to 4 this turn and still have reasonable blocks on the ground is the question he has to ask himself. Because he does not want to see Atarka's command peel off the top of that deck.
Yeah, and that was a great attack by Brian last turn for 2 in the air to put Alex on a 2-turn clock. He has double Avatar of the Resolute in hand, I believe, in addition to another Nissa, which we're probably going to see.
Wow, so he is just going to flood the board here. Also, remember, he can use his Nissa. Has he used it this turn yet, Kenji?
Yeah, he revealed one of the avatars.
One of the avatars, yes. Okay. Because he also could have just made a 4-4.
Sure.
You know, and when you're worried about getting hit on the ground, just making a 4-4 seems reasonable here as well. A lot of options for BBD, but it does feel like he's turned the corner and is going to be able to pick up game 1 here.
So what's the best? So Alex is going to need some combination of... Well, I'm not even sure what he can do at this point. Just 3 creatures flooding the board is... Well, and also going to 5 is just too much.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was too much. Jeez, Brian Bronduin finds the victory here after Alex put together this nice sequence. It just wasn't enough. And BBD wins game 1. So he's one of the good there. And now he gets to go to sideboards, you know, where he's got a bunch of good white cards in his board that he can bring in.
Smiles all around. On the back feature match, Maxime Belanger versus Paulo Vitor Dama de Rosa. Dark Chess Guy versus UB Aristocrats. Marshall, I remember you had a sweet Aristocrats last night.
The last round of last
yeah.
night. Yeah, that was a marathon.
Looks like this is still game 1. Okay. A lot of cards in both graveyards.
Yeah, we just finished game 1 on the other table, too.
Cutthroat, one of the most important cards for the Aristocrats deck there.
But it looks like Paulo's got active Tassiger. And I think he's got a Manus Rider as well. So things looking good for Paulo Vitor Damarosa. He's down on life, though, and we know that this Aristocrats deck can kill out of nowhere. So he can't feel too safe, but he does have some really nice things going on.
See a Mantis Rider in his hand. It's definitely a great one. His mana is currently very, very good. He has double Monastery. Looks like maybe even triple Monastery. Sunken Hollow, Prairie Stream. I love the mana base of the Dark Jeskai deck.
It's pretty crazy.
It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
He's cast all these double and triple color cards of different colors.
Paulo's going to get in there with both his Flyer and the Grandmaster. Remember, the Bloodsoaked Champion cannot block, so there's no really good blocks here for Maxime. And, well, getting that 2 life hit always matters. So attack for 5, gain 2, pass a turn back. And Paulo has left up Tassiger activation as well.
I think Crackling Doom is one of the best cards that you can have against the Aristocrats deck. When they go all in on like a Husk or something, make it unblockable with Whirl of Rogue, you can just get them untargetable. You know, the damage is irrelevant at that point, even if the Husk gets to like a 12-12.
Right.
It's the Cutthroat that I think Paulo's really worried about currently.
Right, because that's a lot harder to interact with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even with just the Bloodsoaked Champion on the battlefield right now, he could attack with it, bring it back, sacrifice it, bring it back, you know. It's a few drains every turn. Granted, I think Paulo's currently outracing that, but...
So what version of this, sacrifice type deck, this Aristocrats deck, do you like the best, Kenji? We've seen this blue-black version. We've seen a 4-color version. We've seen an Obzon version.
I like the ones with Rally in it. I guess maybe those aren't necessarily the Aristocrats decks.
Yeah, you know what you're on the right path. I meant
similar,
these Husk decks.
Yeah, yeah. I like the ones that can use the Rally just to win out of nowhere. Or ones with Collected Company are huge, too. Collected Company is one of the most important cards. They're able just to find their important pieces, dig deeper into their deck.
Nice Planeswalker. I'm going to assume that that's Nissa. Excuse
Liliana.
me. Liliana, thank you.
Ooh, look at that zombie token from Unglued, I believe.
Old school.
Yeah.
Signed by Chris Rush.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, that's a double Cutthroat?
Yeah, so Liliana, once she flipped, returned a Cutthroat from the graveyard to the battlefield.
This cannot be good news for Paulo Vitor Damarosa.
Yeah,
both of these players are sitting at 10-2 and really not wanting to pick up that next loss.
It's a force block here on the Husk. Maxime using the Bloodsoaked Champion's ability, bring it back, sacking it to the Husk. 2 triggers from the Cutthroat. Paulo activating Tassiger before damage is all said and done. Chat yelling at me for saying I like Rally when you asked what Aristocrats deck I like.
Why?
Oh, because it's not exactly the same.
No, you answered my question. I wanted to know. I mean, look, it has Husk, it has Cutthroat.
Yeah.
Like, these decks are very similar.
Yeah. I do like the blue-black ones just for the Whirl of Rogue, though. Not only are you getting 3 creatures with the Rogue, again, making Husk unblockable is, well, you can just win out of nowhere. Paulo taking a look at his graveyard. Did you see what the Tassiger returned? I think I missed it.
I missed it as well.
All right, well, how about a Tassiger number 2?
All right.
Can you leave a Wild Slash in the graveyard, it looks like?
It does seem important here.
Again, taking out those Cutthroats.
I mean, how close is Paulo to dying here?
Currently? Well, let's see. He can 2 damage, 4, 5. He can currently drain for quite... Like, if Maxime untaps, he's going to be in a really good position.
He can just, like, play a creature or get that Bloodsoaked Champion back.
I think the Blood-Soaked is going to be lethal next turn by itself. In addition to what's already on the board.
If he gets an attack in.
Yeah.
All right, he let Paulo have a Mantis Rider. And Paulo was hoping to hit the Wild Slash or removal spell there. Couldn't quite do it.
Let's see, the Soulfire Grandmaster is going to put Paulo up to 11. I assume it's going to attack here. He'd rather gain the life while he can as opposed to, potentially not being able to block and gain the life during combat, because Maxime, again, can just sack all of his creatures.
Zombie's going to jump in front of the...
Yeah, so he's going to sack it
before
the damage is dealt.
Ugh.
Putting Paulo to 7.
And Maxime doesn't need much here to just finish off, right?
No. He attacks with the Husk. He brings back Blood-Soaked. That's 2. He can sack it, bring back it in. That's 4. Sack one of the Cutthroats. That's...
Ooh, there's a Foundry of the
6.
Councils as well.
Yeah, and this is actually just lethal on the board. He's going to bring back the Blood-Soaked, sack it. That's 2. Husk is a 4/4.
This is all in combat that he does this?
Yes.
Okay, well, he does pick up that game. Let's jump back over where our main match is underway.
Looks like the Mantis Rider had attacked Liliana last turn.
Okay.
Oh, this looks very similar to our game 1 with these players.
Yeah, it does.
Turn 2 Hanger back, turn 2 Avatar. So it looks like Brian might have missed a land drop here.
Well, if this is... Alex will have been on the play here, so if this is turn 3...
Well, remember, Hanger back on 2, then Avatar on 3,
you're
right?
correct.
Yeah.
You are correct, sir. Thank you. Now, that could be a major issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alex's deck will put the full punishment to you if you start stumbling on mana.
Let's see what these players have in their sideboard. I see 2 Erishan Cleric for Brian, 3 Surge of Righteousness. Wow, that's a nice one. 3 Tragic Arrogance. That might just be okay, but a little bit too slow. A Silk Wrap. Alex has Roasts, Rending Volley, Chandra, Den Protector. And Alex swinging in with both the Monastery Swift Spear and the Abbot of Carol Keep. Now, Brian's tapped out. Alex already has 3 cards in his graveyard. We could see potential lethal this turn. This is turn 4.
Block.
Brian's like, shrug, show me what you got.
Uh-oh, here goes Wooden Foothills.
Quick crack of...
He's just going to show it to him, and he has the combo. Teamer Battle Rage.
So let's see. Battle Rage would have made the Abbot...
Become Immense gets the job done.
Yeah, Battle Rage would have made the Abbot a 3/2. Become Immense makes it a 9/8, then a 10/9 double strike Trampler. That's
Is that good?
That's a little bit of damage, Marshall.
Oh, great stuff there. Pretty funny, the contrast to game 1.
Yeah.
Where it was all this like careful play and mapping everything out and getting it all perfect. And this one was just like, I have these 2 cards.
And he's like, you got me.
You win. All right. Well, we're kind of on shuffle cam here, of course, as both of our matches are in between. But once one of them starts up, we'll jump in.
In the Twitch side of things, we call that SM working.
Thank you, Kenji.
I'm just making sure you know now.
Appreciate that.
That added a ton to the conversation, I know.
Yeah, you're really dropping knowledge. Let's see, we've got a bit of a crowd there to watch Paulo play.
And they're going to game 2 on the back table, right? Or were they going to game 3? I can't quite recall.
I think we came in while it was still game 1.
Okay.
I think that's the case because you said they're still in game 1 when we went over there.
Oh, see.
I think.
I got the attention span of a goldfish, Marshall.
And the looks to match.
Thank you.
To be fair, you're like, 99 percentile of goldfish.
That's really good.
In intelligence.
That's really good. Alrighty. All
right, looks like they did get underway here, though, on our backup match there. So let's take a look at of what Maxime has going on here. It looks like a hangerback walker got wild slashed, leaving him with a Thopter. But there's also a Bloodsoak Champion.
Yeah, turn 1 Bloodsoak Champion is actually a problem for the Dark Jeskai deck if they don't have an immediate great play. Oh, Mantis Rider turn 3. How about that?
Looks great here. He's going to hold off the board from Maxime and do great work here.
The nice thing is that Paulo actually has access to all 4 of his colors already.
Oh, look at this.
Wow.
No fear. Maxime willing to just throw away a Thopter here.
If he does throw away the Thopter, he is getting in for 3 damage. You know, it's not bad. I think it's a good block on the Bloodsoak this turn because he can't actually
ties up a bunch of mana.
Oh, he can't return it.
Yeah, I'm saying next turn.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially if he has to throw the Thopter into the Mantis Rider just to try to get back the Bloodsoak Champion. So Mantis Rider doing serious work here. That was an aggressive attack from Maxime.
Oh, yeah. Oh. And the Plague.
Virulent Plague. All right, well, we're going to have to catch up with this one as this is Game 2, and we want to see Game 3 of our first match, especially because it can be over in a heartbeat, just like we saw in Game 2 there. So let's jump in and see what these two gentlemen are up to. BBD has made a hangerback walker, and there's a Zergo Bellstriker for Alex. So good starts from both players here.
Again, I hope Brian plays another Avatar of the Resolute on his next turn.
Why?
Just, you know, be the same thing. Yeah. The dream.
That is a nice start. Zergo's going to crunch in for a couple of damage. No play from Alex. What does that mean?
That's probably not a good sign for the Atarka red deck.
Every card in his deck costs that much.
Yeah, so even if he had like an Abbot in his hand, I think he would have cracked it off there. It's possible he wants to get a Cinderglade and he doesn't have another red source or another land in his hand. But I think this definitely favors. There it is.
Hey, right on time. Asked and received.
Yeah. I think I saw Valor's Stance in Brian's hand in addition to 1 or 2 more lands. Let's see what land that Alex opts to get here. If it's the Cinderglade, that's probably... I mean, I guess he has nothing else to do this turn anyways, but... Can't imagine that's a good thing.
Yeah, maybe he's got a renewal spell still.
That does 3 damage to the Avatar?
I mean, he could take out the Walker. I don't know. This turn was just not very exciting for Alex. Yeah, just nothing. He just did stone nothing on turn 2. Pretty rough.
Could just be setting up a longer game plan.
Could be. Like, this could be maybe a Hordling Outburst or something like that. Still, he's got to be bummed to not have something going on. Wow, doesn't get to...
So getting a force there is kind of representative of having maybe multiple green cards in hand, Atarka's Command, and a Become Immense potentially.
Yeah, that's what I would see it as well.
Because Atarka red deck is heavily favored on red spells. So
yeah, it's almost mono red.
Like that hurts his Lightning Berserkers. He has Wild Slashes, Fiery Impulses, Swift Spears, another Zergo. Just cards that want red for sure. So.
Oh, look at this.
Chandra's a great sideboard choice for Alex. Unless Brian has a Silk Wrap or some other enchantment removal, maybe a Dramoka's Command. That's going to do some serious work.
Yeah, Chandra does a lot of damage if left unchecked. It does tend for a more middle type game plan rather than the explosive one that we saw in game 2.
Yeah.
But regardless, she can get a lot of work done if not dealt with pretty quickly here.
Looks like Alex was saying, please, 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 no Silk Wrap.
Yeah, no Silk Wrap, no Stasis Snare.
Ooh, is Brian getting aggressive?
He does have 6 power, right?
Yeah,
or 5 power. Wow, that's...
Oh, no, you're right. The Hangerback is a 2/2.
Yeah, so this is big. Looks like he's going to leave the Hangerback Walker back. But he does get in there for 4. Yeah, that is one thing about these Atarka red decks, and most red decks for that matter, is that, once the pendulum swings back against them, the game tends to not end and not last very long. I mean, you can really pile on a lot of damage quickly.
Absolutely.
It's just hard to swing that pendulum back because they take the reins so quickly in these games and get out to such a fast and impressive board state that it just means that you attacking them is so often not a good option.
We'll see if Brian has anything to do to Chandra. Definitely a great creature, obviously, but Chandra survived the turn, and that's the important part here. Alex has got to feel a little bit confident, even though he is under pressure. Right, Alex probably calculating out his spell plan. You know,
here's Chandra pinging.
As aggressive and single-minded, I guess, as these red decks, or a lot of people think these red decks are, there's a lot of planning.
Oh yeah,
that has to go into it.
Yeah, I mean, you miss a damage or two with these decks, and it can cost you the entire match. They're very unforgiving.
Sequencing.
All right, so we will not see Chandra transformed this turn, though she did get in a damage. She's going to get in another one here on Brian's turn. So she's kind of working her way up, but not Planeswalker mode yet.
Alex notably missing his 4th land there. Again, these decks can function off of very few lands, but when he has that many spells in his hand, he just wants to be able to play them.
Yeah, he's got, 6 cards in hand? Maybe 5?
5, yeah, I think.
6.
It is possible that Alex sets up a turn where he can cast multiple burn spells on Brian's turn and flip the Chandra after blocks to kind of save her.
Mm-hmm.
A full team getting in here.
I like this from BBD. He clearly has something to back it up with. And like we said a minute ago, the Atarka red deck does not play defense well at all. And this is a ton of damage. This is 10?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Avatar with trample.
With trample. Like making this block not spectacular unless he's got maybe a Titan strength. Yeah.
It certainly feels like what this is.
Even then, I think BBD can live with it.
So Brian's just passing priority here, forcing Alex to use the Chandra, the Titan strength. That all resolves, which is a good sign for Alex in the sense that Brian doesn't have Jamoka's Command or Stasis Snare. Ooh, and he topped it.
That's interesting. Unless it's just a land, which is also possible.
I mean, even a land here, again, is good because he's missing land drops and has so many spells in hand that he wants to cast.
It's just a little less interesting. This is game 3 between these two players. Again, something to keep in mind as we watch this game wind down is that these guys are 10-2. And that third loss is going to make it very difficult to get into top 8. Not impossible, but certainly after picking up the third loss, you're not planning on it. You're going to play your heart out and hope that the breakers break the way they do, but it's certainly a big dent in your campaign. So there's a lot on the line here. We're kind of nearing the stretch. This is round 13. We've got another couple of rounds to go after this before we cut the top 8, but this is a big one. This is just not a loss that either of these players wants to pick up at this point, as it would put them in such a hard spot to make top 8. Erish and Clark's a follow-up, though, for Brian Bronduin. It's going to be game 3 life. Chandra's going to take one of those back.
Yeah, he's at a very healthy 16, but like we saw last game, 16 life is, It
can evaporate.
It can evaporate very quickly. Alex can make that plan go up in flames. Let's start things off with the Chandra ping. Alex had a precarious 6 life here, so.
Yeah, I mean, he is getting beaten down hard.
Granted, none of the creatures on Brian's side currently have trample anymore.
Ooh, are we going to see Chandra transform here? Looks like he is.
Certainly looks like that.
This is going to be a fiery impulse on something.
Taking out the cleric, allowing Alex to potentially get in for a few damage with the Zergo. All right, so
Okay, so that happens. Now he can ping with Chandra. Or even just... No, he has to ping to flipper, right?
yeah, you have to use the ability.
So he's going to get in for 3, ping you. That's a third one, so that's 3 damage from Chandra. So let's turn that face over.
And probably shoot Brian for 2 more damage.
Just get
I
him
would
down
assume.
to 8
Yeah.
here. Yeah. Yeah, you can't kill either creature with the minus ability, so may as well go upstairs and pass a turn back. Now we've got just a good old-fashioned race on our hands here. It's 8-6, and it's BBD's turn currently. A couple of goblin tokens hanging around.
Brian with another Death Mist Raptor off the top. Not exactly what he wants to see. I think Wingmate Rock was high up there, as was Warden of the First Tree wouldn't be awful.
Mm-hmm.
Quarantine Field potentially. The Valorous Stance still hanging out in his hand. That might be the pivotal play of the game, not using Valorous Stance on the Fiery Impulsed Erishan Cleric.
Mm-hmm. One way or the other.
Yep.
All right, Deathmist Raptor's going to get in. Take 3, go to 3.
Oh, he had a second Erishan Cleric in his hand.
Another Erishan Cleric. Brutal.
This makes a little bit more sense then.
Back up to 11 for Brian. And he still doesn't want to tap out for that other Deathmist Raptor. He'd rather just leave up mana.
Sure. Valorous Stance can take out a creature if it does become immense.
Looking good for Brian Bronduin to defeat Alex Hain here.
Sure.
He's got him down to 3. He's got a manageable board state going. And he's at 11 life, which is a tall order.
But Alex with a full grip of cards in his hand still.
Yeah. Still on 3 lands.
Yeah. The saving grace for Brian here, I think, is that Alex doesn't have any of those prowess creatures. So while he can go wide, he can't really, without leaving himself susceptible, go full in on like a goblin token. And still get him through enough damage. And 6 cards in his graveyard, so yeah, he's close to casting 2 Become Immense in 1 turn. Is he 1 short of double Become Immense? I think he is.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think he's a couple short, right? He's got 6 cards in his yard.
Yeah, green, 5 of them,
Yeah.
and then 2 in the grid. Okay, so 2 off, yeah.
Yeah. You know, fetch land or something. Could change that math.
All right, looks like Alex just passed the turn. Draws a Hangerback Walker, not exactly what he wants.
Got a couple of lethal threats here. Is he going to be able to finish this thing off?
Yeah, Death Mist.
The threat of the combo from Alex, especially with that many cards in hand, is so real that Brian has to play so carefully here. It actually is going to buy Alex a significant amount of time.
Well, this also lets Alex draw into cards like just Atarka's Command, you know, another Chandra if he has, Roast to take care of the Death Mist or something like that. All right, so defensive Titan Strength. Again, we've seen this now 2 times from Alex.
This is interesting. So Hangerback Walker's now at 4.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just kill it?
Can I just kill it?
Couldn't BBD just Valor stance
sure.
his own Walker?
Absolutely, yeah.
And just fly over?
Yeah, that's a play I've seen a lot of people make, actually.
I wonder why we didn't see it here.
What does he lose to if he does that? It'd have to be...
He might have just missed it. It's
Sure,
a not intuitive play either.
Ooh, a Surge of Righteousness in response to the Titan Strength.
That's going to prompt an Atarka's Command here. Surge, gain 2, but now he can't gain the 2.
Yep. And actually, that Yeah, that
Uh-oh.
that's not gonna spell good news for Brian. He's technically at 4 on board to the Chandra.
Thanks to Chandra.
Alex with 3 creatures to Brian's 2 currently.
This is getting scary.
Yeah,
if you're BVD.
sure.
It felt like he was kind of working his way there. Now, interestingly here, Chandra's picked up her 7th loyalty, which puts her in ultimate range next turn. She does 6 damage to each opponent as part of the ultimate.
Yeah.
There's more, but as you can see, that is also going to be an issue. And yes, we can see 1 die on there, but there's actually another. So
Now, chat's pointing out that had Brian gone for the Valorous stance on his own Hangerback Walker play,
yes,
and Alex had the Atarka's reach, which he did, he could have given his creatures reach. You know, not a mode on Atarka's command we see
Crazy.
frequently. So maybe that's what Brian was playing around. But
it's possible.
it's possible he also just missed it. Either way, it's interesting. Lots of subtle plays here.
Yeah.
I mean, Zergo couldn't have blocked, but he had, 2 goblins and I think, 3 goblins? Yeah, 3 goblins.
Oh. Don't worry, no earthquake here in Quebec. That was just somebody bumping our stanchion that holds up the cameras.
Hopefully you guys don't have motion sickness.
Bumping it pretty hard too. It looks.
Oh,
like.
okay, so he finds the play.
Now he finds the line.
And that's after Alex had used his Atarka's command, so maybe he feels a little bit safer now that
Well,
one of the commands is gone.
Yeah, but also it just gives him 6 creatures here versus 3.
Sure, but this is at the end of Alex's turn, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, Alex is at 3 though.
sure. That's
I'm just saying. So even let's say he has another command, it doesn't matter.
Gotcha, yeah.
Still just kills him. All right. So is BVD going to be able to finish this thing up? He has to. Now he also could. Yeah, whatever. Just get in there, BVD. All at you.
Let's see if, I mean,
this does get interrupted by something, right? 2 burn spells would be block, take 1.
uh-oh.
Uh-oh, what are we going to see here? Atarka's command.
Okay.
That puts you to 1 and gives some type of reach here, but he is still dead to this attack.
Yes. Maybe Alex just giving us a show.
Well, maybe he has something else?
Ah.
No, just giving him the 6 sweat. And BVD smiles. These guys are buddies, so they're going to be having a little chat about it. But